Hello friends, welcome to the online lecture series of Business Management. Myself, Assistant Professor Mr. V.R. Wadekar from Department of Electronics and Telecommunication from Matoshi College of Engineering and Research Center, Nasik, affiliated to Savitribai Phule, Pune University. Today, we are going to see the forms of business management. So let's start with our today's video. But before that, we would have a quick revision that what we have studied in our previous lecture. If you remember, in our previous lecture, we have studied about the human relation theory given by Elton Meyer, that how he performed different experiments as like illumination experiment, relay assembly room experiment, interview phase, bank wiring observation room experiment, and he observed that how the importance of people, human relation, it is there working in a group, because the motivation of a people in an organization to develop a teamwork so as to achieve individual as well as organizational goal. Today we are going to see a forms of organization as like what are the types of business ownership, what is proprietorship, partnership, joint stock company, like that. So talking about ownership, it refers to the right of individual group to acquire legal title to asset or properties. So business ownership means who acquire legal rights of business. The types of it: sole proprietorship, partnership, joint stock company, and government company. So let's talk about a sole proprietorship. Now, when the ownership and the management of business are in control of one individual, then it is known as sole proprietorship. Now, it is most common form of business ownership as it is seen everywhere. You can see the shops, small business establishments are all example of sole proprietorship. Now, what are the characteristics of proprietorship? As owned by a single individual, and hence the profit arising, sharing, it goes to him only. The owner is generally the manager of the business. He is a sole decision maker, and hence decision making is very fast. The entire capital of the business is provided by the owner. About the legal status, the proprietor and the business enterprise are one and the same according to the law. Liability. The liability of the proprietor is unlimited. Stability. The stability and the continuity of the firm, it depends on the capacity, competence, and the lifespan of the proprietor. In setting up, functioning, and the exit of the business is very less. No legal formalities are required, just we require a shop act license for that. What are the advantages? Easy to form, quick decision making, it is there, personal care, it is there, quality product, minimum wastage, flexible business, all are the advantages. Now moving toward the disadvantages: small size, limited capital is there, limited skills are there, high risk of wrong decision, unlimited liability, and limited growth. Now, talking about the next type is partnership. Well, it is a form of organization where two or more persons are associated to run a business with a view to earn profit. Each member of such group is known as partner, and the firm is known as partnership firm. Now, what are the types? It is a general partnership act in Act 1932, Limited Liability Partnership Act 2008, Limited Partnership and Limited Liability Companies LLC Partnership. Now, Partnership Act by 1932. Well, it is given in Section 4 of the Act that it is a relation between persons who have agreed to share the profit of a business carried on by all or any of them acting for all. Partners, persons who have entered into partnership with one another are called individually partners. And minimum 2 persons are required to form a partnership. Contractual relationship. The relationship between partners is created by a contract. Written agreement is known as partnership deed. Sharing of profit and loss. Partners share profit or loss in any ratio as they agreed. Business in partnership firm may be carried on by all the partners or any of them acting for all. Transfer of interest. No partner can sell or transfer his interest in the firm to anyone without consent of partners. Talking about the dissolution of partnership, it implies complete closure or the termination of partnership business, or sometimes it also includes any change in agreement due to change of numbers of members. Now, talking about the advantages: large financial resources, flexibility in operation, better management, sharing of risk and loss, better public relations. Sometimes partnership can form without legal formality. Disadvantages: it is the instability. The partnership may get terminated in case of retirement or death of any partner. The existence of partnership, it can be for short duration due to selfish attitude of partners or due to increase of loss. Partners may blame to each other. Difficulty in decision making. Not all time every partner, it agrees. Now, talking about LLP, that is a limited liability partnership. It is governed by LLP Act 2008. Limited liability partnership means partnership formed and registered under LLP Act 2008, and in this some or all partners have limited liability. In this, each partner is not responsible or liable for another partner's misconduct or negligence. Limited liability: the members act as agents and only have liability up to the amount they have contributed to the firm. Minimum number of members requires are 2. Unlimited capacity: it can do anything that a person can do, including holding property, entering into contracts. Now, talking about the characteristic, LLP, it is a separate legal entity from its members. LLP has the organizational flexibility of a partnership. Talking about its advantages, the liability of the members is limited as per the agreement. The cost of formation of LLP is low. Partners are not liable for other mistakes. Less restrictions. Disadvantage is that it can't raise money from public. Now, talking about a joint stock company. In this type of company, different amount of shares it can be bought or owned by shareholders. So in this form of organization, the capital is contributed by a large number of persons in the form of shares of different values. They are classified as private limited company and public limited company. Now, talking about a private limited company. A private limited company, it is a company which privately held for small businesses. The liability of the members of private limited company is limited to the amount of shares respectively held by them. It can be established with 2 to 200 members, and these companies are formed to minimize disadvantages of partnership firm. Now, when this type of organization, it expands beyond certain limit, it can be registered as a limited company under Indian Company Act 2013. Example, your Reliance, TCS, Flipkart, Amazon, Arcom. Now, it is a mandatory for all the private companies to use a word private limited after its name. The liability of each member or shareholders is limited. The personal, individual assets of the shareholders are not at risk. Minimum number of 2 directors is required for registering the private limited company. Now, moving towards a public limited company. A public limited company, it comes under a Company Act 2013. It is a company that has limited liability and it offers shares to the general public. This is a difference between private and public limited. Its stock, it can be acquired by anyone, either privately through initial public offering by issuing IPO or via trades on the stock market. A public limited company is strictly regulated and is required to publish its true financial health status reports to its shareholders. Most of the companies in England are public limited. Also in India, public limited companies are government owned companies. It is a compulsory requirement under the Companies Act 2013 for all the public companies to add a word limited after their name. As per the provisions of the Companies Act 2013, to start a public limited company, a minimum of 3 directors are required and there is no restriction on the maximum number of directors. The liability of each shareholder is limited. Now, what are the advantages of this joint stock company? Shareholders bears no risk since liability is limited. Large scale business can be undertaken. Management can employ specialized labor, specialized machinery, and thus large scale production is possible in less cost. Existence is permanent. Management works on democratic principle. Now, talking about the disadvantages. Shareholders don't have much interest and voice in management. Some directors may exploit investors. Large formalities are to be observed, and sometimes directors may take risk and likely to incur a losses to the company. Now, talking about a public sector undertakings. The government owned corporations are called public sector undertaking, that is PSUs in India. In PSU, majority 51% or more than that of paid share capital is held by the central government or by any state government, or partly by the central government and partly by one or more state government is called PSUs. Also called as mixed ownership companies. Example, your BHEL, your BPCL, HPCL, GAIL, NTPC, ONGC, SAIL. These all are the example of PSUs. PSUs are categorized into following types as like Maharatna, Navratna, Miniratna companies. They are established to operate in commercial affairs and their objective is public service rather than earning profit. They are established and governed by Companies Act 1956. Management is visited in hands of board of directors which are appointed by government. Staff members are appointed by company itself. Company is free to collect a capital through its own sources, or it can even borrow the money also. PSUs have to place annual accounts and annual reports for the approval of Parliament or Legislative Assembly. Now, auditors in PSUs are appointed by government as per guidance of the Comptroller and Auditor General, that is a CAG. Advantages of PSUs formation is easy as it is formed like joint stock company. Stability is highest. They enjoy financial autonomy. They are dependent on government for initial investment, and profits of the companies are utilized for the further expansion as like your Indian Railways and LICs. It provides healthy competition to private sector. Talking about the disadvantages, they are autonomous in theory, but in practice, political interference it is there. Most of the government companies experiences slackness. They are not treated as efficient as private companies. So guys, we have studied about the business ownership like sole proprietorship, partnership, limited liability partnership. Then we have seen the joint stock company, public limited and private limited company, and then we have seen the public sector undertakings. So here it is the assignment that you need to submit to my email address. And in next module guys, that would be the last module, we are going to see the concept of globalization. So thank you very much students for watching this video.